Okay, today we're in Illustrator developing some concepts using the Shape Builder tool. First, we're going to go File and New and create an A3 document, and I'm just going to change the measurements to centimeters and press Create. So to start with, I'm going to drag in my drawing, and it's very large, so Alt and scroll to zoom out. Grab the corner and make sure that you hold Shift to lock it to proportion, and I will drag that up and into the center and Alt and scroll to zoom in. So here's my initial idea, and what I'm going to start with is using the ellipse tool. Over here, you can right click on this and change it between rectangle, ellipse, polygon, star, and I'm going to draw the shape of this object, and you can see that it has this white fill and a black stroke. So over here on the left hand side, I'm going to actually remove that fill. So click this little remove or none button, and the black stroke, I'm going to make this a bright color so it stands out. And now using the black select tool, drag that across. So there is my ellipse. This is what I'm going to be trying to replicate this shape with these sharp corners, and I'm just going to do it over here next to it. Control C and Control V to make a copy, and I'm going to make these black so I can tell which shape is which. So this red shape is my main shape, and with this I'm going to line it up there, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get that sharp corner up there the same as this corner up here. So I'm going to copy that again, and on my right hand side do the same thing. And what I'm doing here is making sure that these pink dots line up so I know that they are aligned there in the center. And I'll stretch this down a tiny bit to make it the same weight the whole way through. And what I've done here, which I'll show, is go through and I've got that curve the whole way through. So to use the shape builder, we have to select all of these, and over here on the left hand side, use the shape builder tool. What I'm going to start by doing is creating my shape I want to keep. So I want to drag through, so click and drag through all of those shapes, and there's the shape I want to keep. The shapes that I don't need, I can hold down Alt, and I can click and drag and delete all of them. And now I'm left with just that shape there, which if I rotate it around, should replicate that. And it's not as rounded, but it's where I want it to be at the moment. So now we have a nice geometric looking shape. For the star, we can do the same thing. So with the rectangle, I will go and I'm going to draw a square. I'm going to grab the ellipse tool and I'm going to draw, starting at the edge and holding Shift, an ellipse that is the same width, and that can line up slightly. And I'm going to click on that, Control C, Control V, and copy down to the bottom, Control C, Control V, drag that across to the side, Control C, Control V, and this one can go over to this side. And now just dragging those out slightly. What I can even do is I can duplicate this and I'll make this slightly bigger. So start layering these, find the center point. And what I'm going to do that for is so that each of these circles can intersect on the middle of that second square. So I know that they are all balanced. So this can come down, and as long as I get those intersections correct, to center. I know that this should be completely geometric. And in the middle, I have my shape. So I can select all of that back to my shape builder, hold down Alt, and I will delete everything that I do not need. And on this side, all of these shapes can be deleted. Zoom in, I can delete the edges. And just like that, I now have my star up there, which I can rotate however I wish, which I'll do on that slight angle. Now we can leave the original at the top. I can make that a little bit smaller, and I'm going to duplicate that by copying and pasting it. And over on this side, all I'm going to do to start my development concepts is I'm going to draw another ellipse, rotate it, and go back to the black select tool, drag it behind. And what I'm going to do here is actually going to make this black and invert the colors. So over here on the stroke, where I have a black edge, I'm going to swap this into the fill. I have now lost my shapes, but I can right click, arrange, and I can send the black shape to the back. And I'll click on that path of both this moon and this star. And over here, it's set to just a black stroke. And I'm actually going to click on that and remove the black stroke. And with my fill, double click, select it to white. So I'll just have these two black and white versions, and I can make it a bit smaller. And see what it looks like with a little bit of contrast. Now, with this, I can go and manipulate it in any way I want. We can change it so that it has different colors. We can start to play around if I change the stroke and modify how heavy that is. Can look at removing the stroke completely and just arranging different compositions and starting to manipulate our way of composing these two objects and how they fit together as well. So what I'm going to do is, using the text box tool, going to click and drag and type in my logo or name of the company, which is Dazzle. And with Dazzle, I can select that. I can make it as big as I want. And then from here, using the character tool, can start to use different typefaces to start to experiment with that. So I can select that type over here on my fill, double click, and can change that. So I might just make it something a little bit lighter. Black select tool. I can go and change this and start to really play around with what kind of arrangement or composition I want. And that could be really scaling this down. You can see there as I'm selecting it, because this text box is so big, I'm double selecting so I can make that smaller. Same with this one. But at the moment, we're really just trying to come up with some variations of how this would work. And as another idea of contrast, I'm actually going to draw a shape, which I've selected the same color, right click, arrange, send it to the back. And this time I'm going to double click on my Dazzle and I'll make this a, not pure white, but just an off-white color. to see what it does look like with a bit of contrast. And finally, I'm just going to grab this corner and just round that off a tiniest bit by grabbing those inside edges. And now, with those couple of different skills, we can start to really play around with how this logo could possibly work together. Can easily go and change that font and start to play around with different versions of it and really thinking about how to further develop this.